Welcome everybody, my name is Ann. I'm a physical therapist here at Illinois Regional Pain Institute. Lots of our folks have real chronic issues with pain, and that meaning more than 3 months, which that's kind of laughable to some of us because we're like, talk about 30 years, we're like, right? If you think about what happens to us when we're in pain for a very, very long time, our bodies start to change, okay? And so today's topic is central sensitization, and basically what that is this process by which pain becomes a disease in and of itself, okay? And then, because if you've hurt your back 20 years ago, you know that probably there's not ongoing damage happening, but you're in pain at this point. Sorry, got distracted. All right, so first a little bit of background information on just kind of how busy your brain is as your day goes. I liken it to like the city of Peoria, where at any given moment there are people on the telephone, there are people driving down the road, there are people who are underneath the city working on the sewer system, there are people who are working on the electrical systems, there's people in the hospitals that are, doing surgeries, there are people taking pulses, there are people on the phone that are calling and, faxing things and whatever. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening every single day to make this city work. Okay. None of that really gets registered unless you're right there. You don't really see too much of what's all happening.
There's another lady coming to join you.
Okay. I'm gonna hit pause.
Okay.
All right, we're back on?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so we were talking about how busy our brains are throughout our world. So none of that really, all this busyness doesn't really register, okay? The same thing happens with your brain. Every minute of every day, your heart is pumping, you're breathing, the veins are getting blood back from your toes back up to your heart. Your brain is processing all of this stuff. It's double checking the chemicals in your blood to make sure all of that's okay, and it's taking all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's doing all kinds of stuff, and your brain is monitoring all of this. You're not really aware of any of it, okay? What we're aware of are the big changes, right? So I consider this to be like the Journal Star. What gets reported in the Journal Star is things like, did the city council make a new ordinance that you have to get your garbage can out, a day early, or you can't get it out that early, or whatever. Is there construction going on such and such a street? Is there, a crime wave happening in certain areas of the town? Same thing happens with your body. You don't notice anything until something goes wrong, right? Okay. But notice that those headlines in the newspaper happen afterwards. Okay, that happens after the fact. You don't really become aware of it until after all of that happens. So the same thing happens with your body. You don't become aware really of anything changing until it's after the fact. Okay, so just be aware that there's so much happening in your brain that you're completely unaware of. It's part of your day-to-day functioning. It's part of the business of keeping you alive, all right? Which is a good thing that we're not completely aware of all of that, because we have then more room in our awareness to be, doing our daily activities and interacting with people and things like that. If I had to think about breathing all the time, I wouldn't do it. I don't know about you all, but I forget to breathe even if it's automatic, so... All right, so central sensitization, I label it practice makes perfect. Has anybody here tried to ever read Braille? Or I'm the only weird one that thought, what if I go blind? Yeah, like on the elevator, you try to close your eyes and you're like, how in the world can somebody feel the difference between those 3 or 4 dots and feel where they are, and let alone just pass their fingers along there to read, right? Or if you've ever tried to listen to your own heart, and like, how do doctors know what they're listening to? Like, how are they hearing those little nuances and those little things? Or another example, somebody like a sommelier who tastes the wine and they're, listing all of the smoky, mossy notes and the long legs and whatever else that they talk about, right? And these are details that it's like, wow, it kind of tastes like wine to me, Okay, so these are all examples of central sensitization, okay? These are things that people have gotten really, really good at because they have been practicing, because they have been paying attention to these various tasks, okay? It's a really good thing that our brain knows how to do this, because otherwise we wouldn't become experts at anything. We wouldn't be able to become really good at anything in particular, right? So in all of these, it is practice and attention that seems to make the biggest difference, okay? Problem is when that's pain, and it's an unpleasant experience that gets practiced over and over and over again. It becomes kind of worn down in your brain. It becomes kind of an automatic, a very practiced, very nuanced experience, okay? So when a nerve gets fired repeatedly, and the associated actions, thoughts, feelings, consequences are also repeatedly fired with it. This is where I usually bring in Pavlov's dog. Have you guys ever heard of Pavlov's dog? No? Okay, Pavlov is a physicist or physiologist from the turn of the 20th century, 1900s. He got the Nobel Prize in like 1902 or something for physiology. And he wanted to know how we learn. And so he thought, well, let me see if I can train my dog to come to a dinner bell. So he would ring the bell and present the food. Well, he noticed that when the dog would be presented with food, the dog would also start to drool. Okay? So that means that the dog's physiology is getting ready to have food enter its system to start to digest the food, right? So he would ring the bell, present the food. Ring bell, food, bell, food, bell, food, bell, food. After a few weeks, he'd ring the bell, the dog would come running. Okay? So the dog learned that bell, which has absolutely nothing to do with food, is now linked to food, means food. Okay? The other thing that he noticed was that not only would the dog come running, but the dog would start to salivate. Which means that not only did the dog consciously understand, hey, there's food here, I need to come to it, but the autonomic nervous system, the one that's in charge of your digestion, knew food is coming, okay? So not only do we learn at a conscious level, but we learn unconsciously as well. That makes some sense. So one of my favorite examples, have you ever stopped, gonna stop at the store on the way home from work, and you get home, and you're like, oh, forgot. And you don't even hardly know how you got home. And you're thinking to yourself, or the times when you have driven home, and you can't remember any of that route at all. What the heck happened? Where was I? Was I safe? Okay, part of the reason why you didn't register any of that is the same reason why you don't register that somebody over in that building over there just picked up the telephone, because it doesn't matter. It's normal processes. Now you remember you drive home if somebody pulled out in front of you and nearly caused a wreck, right? Right. Okay, so it's the changes that seem to be represented, okay? But just know that complicated actions, including driving an entire 20 minutes home, can be fast-tracked into a very simple program. Drive home. Okay? This happens when we move and we have pain. Okay? So if we are, doing certain actions like doing the dishes, for example, and you're standing there for 5 or 10 minutes and you start to have pain, okay, that can become fast-tracked, including that sensation of pain. Okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything dangerous happening right now, because you're just standing there doing dishes. You're not going to damage anything. But your brain is saying, whoa, the last time we stood for X number of minutes, we had to lay down for 30 or 40 days, right, in order to recover. Okay, so let's not go there. Let's not go there way too soon. Another favorite example of mine is, and you don't have to answer this question really, but just think back. Has anybody ever gotten sick on alcohol of a certain kind? Or gotten really sick after having eaten some particular food and then couldn't stomach eating that for a while afterwards? Okay?
Very much so.
Okay, so you smell that Southern comfort and the stomach goes, no, we're not doing that. We're not putting that down. Last time we put that down here, it was a really ugly deal and it was bad for days, okay? Your brain is doing the same kind of thing. It's protecting you from going past that line, okay? So to summarize, central sensitization is when a particular set of circumstances gets fast-tracked into one very simple program. I stand, I have pain, or whatever it tends to be, okay? Pain in the brain is really, really complicated. The nervous system changes and brain pathways can change in response to everyday input, okay? Anytime you get, and I've got a handout here for this, and some of you have it already and some don't. But it's 3 pages, so take 3 down and pass it around.
Count the first 3 already.
Yeah, I did. Just like any other. Okay, sit up. No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead and pass that down. Extra one. Anytime, just like with any. Any change or any input to the body, we are going to change the body, okay? Just weightlifters and athletes use this all the time, where they know that if they continually lift more weight, their muscles are gonna change in response to that. We've all experienced the other way of where you don't use your muscles and you lose them, right? And the same thing happens with your nervous system, okay? So the first part of this handout, the extra handout, I actually have another one. I got it. You do, okay. Is basically, we have in the periphery, outside of the spinal cord and the brain, we have these nerve endings that have sensors on the end of them. As soon as we have an issue where there's injury or we start to use that part of our body more often, for whatever reason, if you're, a pianist and you're learning how to play, piano, or you're learning Braille, those nerve endings are going to respond and we're going to get more of them, okay? If you have an injury, that's one of the things that starts to happen almost immediately, is that your body says, oh, there's danger in this particular area, say your knee, and we're going to need to have more monitoring going on in that area, so we're going to put in extra nerve endings there, okay? So then what happens is that goes up to your spinal cord, and the spinal cord can say, okay, we need to have more information going up to the brain, or, we need to send more often, okay? The brain has a lot to do with this in the sense that it'll send information down saying, hey, we don't want to know anything about this particular area right now, or we want to know more information about this particular area. An example of not wanting to know more information, okay, is when, say, your house is on fire and you're trying to get out and you twist your ankle. And we need more copies?
Give that lady a copy. We only need one between us.
Okay. So if you're in a fire and you twist your ankle, half the time people don't notice something like twisted ankle until later on, okay? And that ends up being, basically your brain said, that is so not important right now, we need to get out of the burning house. We're going to get out of the burning house, and then we'll take stock later. Okay? A lot of us have experienced this in terms of whiplash. We get in a car wreck. No, we're fine. We don't need to go to the hospital. 2 days later, we're dying. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an example of the brain saying, we don't need to know any information about this. Okay. The other thing, central sensitization, is when the brain says, we need to know more about this. Okay, we need to have more information. So I think of it as like the brain is your CEO, and the spinal cord is your middle manager, and the CEO has just said, hey, this department down here is in trouble. I need to have daily reports. Not monthly, but daily reports. Okay? So that just increases that amount of information that's coming from that particular area. Okay? When you get to the brain, a lot of things happen. Okay? This is like the city of Peoria. There's so much happening in regards to this one incident. You get information from your body. It goes to your sensory cortex, which is like right up in through here, okay? And it's going to locate that particular body part on the map in your head. It's like Google Maps up here in your head, okay? It's going to locate where is the problem. And think of that as being like 911 call happens. Okay, where is the problem? It's going to go to the memory centers. Hey, have we been here before? And most of us, yeah, we've been here every day for the last however many years, right? Okay. So have we been here before? What is this? Do we know what this is? What can we do about it? What's going to happen? Okay. We goes to the prefrontal cortex, which is up in through here, which is all of your problem solving. So if you have increased pain in your back and you need to walk differently, or you maybe need to bring your walker along with you, or your cane or something like that. Okay, so you problem solve. It goes to your concentration and attention centers in this cingulate cortex that's right around in here. Okay, because obviously you're going to pay attention to it if it's pain, right? Okay. It goes to the amygdala, which is the responsible party for your emotion and your motivation. Okay. We've all experienced, pain doesn't happen in a vacuum. Pain is one of those things where it's always got something accompanying to it, because you know that if you're hurt today, that means you're not going to be able to go to somewhere tonight, or you're not going to, if you do go, you're going to really be hurt tomorrow. There's a lot of disappointment that goes with it. There's a lot of other stuff that happens with that. So it triggers a lot of those things too. Goes to your motor and premotor cortex, so you can change the way you move. And keep in mind, these are all happening under the radar here. You're not noticing any of this stuff happen. It happens quick. Okay. It also goes to your thalamus and your hypothalamus, which are responsible for stress response. Now, if you think about pain as being a danger signal, what does your body do when it's in danger? Panics, right? It goes into that fight or flight system. So your heart rate starts to go up, your blood pressure goes up, cortisol dumps sugar into your blood system so that you can respond to whatever threat it is. The only problem is, because your body doesn't know the difference between a bear in the woods and a pain in your back, it gives the same response to all of it. Okay? So you're going to have the same response whether you fight the bear or fight the back, or whatever body part's hurting. It's going to go to your cerebellum to help with the coordination. It's going to go to your visual and auditory cortexes to help you determine what else is happening in the world. And then all of these parts crosstalk. So you've got this huge, we hear this myth that we use 10% of our brain. No, we use all of it. We use a great deal of it, okay? Maybe 10% for what our conscious thought is able to do, but the rest of it is really busy all the time doing all kinds of stuff. And all of this happens split second, and you get the ouch as a result. Okay? Alrighty, so that is just know that your brain's a super, super busy place, and once you have this pain happen over and over and over again, this gets practiced, fast-tracked into a very shortened, very complete, and very compact program. I move this way, I get pain.
So we stop it.
How do you stop it?
Big pill.
Well, you know what? That is one way, and I didn't actually photocopy that particular one. I photocopied a lot of supplements, but not that one. But I can. Basically, there are several different ways that we can stop it.
Southern Comfort.
Southern Comfort. No, thank you.
Send a detour, Southern Comfort to it. Detour.
So, a lot of what you go to the doctors for with the pills and the RF procedures and the injections, epidurals, all of that stuff is aimed at stopping the signals from the body part to the spine, so that it doesn't go up to the brain and kickstart that whole program. Okay. So that is definitely one way, and I recommend that people do research those ways and determine if some of those ways are right for them. There's no right or wrong way to address pain. Okay. We know that it's extremely complicated. Okay. We know that it's much more than injury equals pain. Fix the injury, pain goes away. Okay. That's not how it works, and we all know that. Okay, anybody that's been in pain for a while knows that's not how it works. But that's what we're taught as we grow up. We just know that there's something wrong with that knee because it's still hurting us, We know that there's something wrong with our back because it's still hurting us. Well, yes and no. Okay, there's an interplay between the body and the brain. And if the brain thinks that there's damage happening, it's going to send inflammation and repair crews to that area. Okay, repair crews are in and of themselves very irritating.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so anybody who's driven through Illinois in the summertime knows that repair crews are very, very irritating. So you know that there's an interplay there between the two of them. So one way, is to take the medication or to do the shots or whatever else. There are other ways.
I didn't say nothing.
She's just laughing at me.
I didn't even say that.
Next time you do not get to sit together.
I know. We're not even looking at each other.
And she missed you last month.
I did miss you
I
last
miss not being here. My car's broken. That's,
Oh no.
she's my ride this month.
Okay, very good. All right. So anyway, the problem becomes with the central sensitization is that when you have this program that is set in there, it takes very little to set it off. Okay. If you've ever had one of those songs in your mind that doesn't go away for days on end. Okay, Christmas time is like this for me. As soon as I get it out of my head, somebody plays it. So the whole month is... Anyway, so if you've ever had that song that's on your mind, you don't have to hear the beginning of the song in order for it to get stuck in your head. You can hear just the chorus, you can hear the bridge, you can hear a few of the lyrics to it. I have one patient where if I say don't touch this, she's done. Days she's got that song on her mind.
It's always the
Thanks,
annoying one.
you're welcome for the earwig.
What is this song you're talking about, Viola? What's your pet peeve Christmas song?
What's my pet peeve Christmas song? Do I dare say this? My pet peeve Christmas song is the Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Okay.
That one
it's in my
drives me
head.
bananas. Anyway,
Now it's in my head.
you're welcome.
Thank
You asked.
Thank you very much.
You asked.
I feel as bad as soon as I left my mouth. I'm like, wait a minute.
Stop it.
once it starts, why can't you make
know.
it stop? It's impossible.
Where's the delete button?
Right, if there was a delete button.
That would be the
great.
Southern comfort.
Right.
The delete button.
Let him come through.
So it takes a lot of retraining. If you think about how much time you spend with that program going on in your head, you are, and this is going to sound really overwhelming, okay? But it is it's empowering at the same time because it's something that you can do at home. Or with the help of a physical therapist. Sorry, couldn't help, I resist that part. Anyway, if you think about how many times a day do you practice this, ouch, 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 right? How many times a day do you practice? That's a lot of dinner
Yeah,
bells.
reinforcement.
And that's a lot of reinforcement of the same thing. So we have some tools that we can use now. The NOI group out of Australia has a lot of really great things. And in fact, if you go to YouTube and you go and search Lorimer Moseley, he's got some really interesting and funny things about stories that he tells about pain and how it works. And it's always good to hear from another set, another person. They put different people put things differently, and so it makes.
What's his name?
Lorimer Moseley, Lorimer.
You wrote that down, remember?
I know, it's in my other purse.
Moseley, Moseley.
Yeah, I did.
He's like, I'm just like his biggest fangirl. I saw him speak once. So if you can ever see him speak, he's awesome. But anyway, he's a physical therapist out of Australia, and they're doing a lot of really neat work with understanding pain and how it works. One of the things that they talk about doing is to look at pictures of right and left hands, or so if it's your hand that's giving you the trouble, look at pictures of right versus left hands. What that does is that triggers that part in your brain, the sensory cortex. Remember, when you get information from your body, it sends it to the sensory cortex up in your brain, and that triggers that neuron without the rest of the song playing, okay? And so the idea is if we can get those neurons to fire without that associated pain process happening, we can kind of start to separate that bell away from the food, from Pavlov's dog, okay? So the idea is you have to ring the bell and not give the food to the dog for a long time before that starts to pull away.
How can you do that with your back?
With your back, you look at pictures of people who have they're either turning to the right or left, or they're tilting to the right or left. Those work pretty well. For those who,
Right, you have to acknowledge it.
yeah, you have to say
right,
right, left, right, left. You have to try to choose. Okay.
Well, you just keep looking at the pic, was it every 5 minutes or something? You have to keep looking at them.
Yeah. The right now, I recommend that people look at least 100 pictures a day.
Okay.
Okay. There are programs on there's apps on Facebook, or not Facebook, apps on iPad or your Android phones that you can get. There's a program on the computer that you can get that will do that for you, that will show you pictures, and you have to pick right, left, right, left.
What's it under? What's it called?
It's Recognize, and it's spelled with an S because they're Aussies.
Okay.
Okay. And so Recognize is the software, and there's a couple of other ones. If you look up right-left discrimination,
Okay.
You can do that. More cheaply, you can pick up any, while you're sitting in the doctor's office, waiting in the waiting room, pick up a magazine and start flipping through right, left, right. The models, are they turned to the right or the left?
Okay.
If you have a foot issue, is it a right foot or a left foot? See if you can find all of the left foots. Feets.
Please.
Tall
Pause.
order.
See if you can find all of them in the magazine. Okay, just to get different examples on how to try to do that. Go to the people watch at the grocery store or at the mall. Hang out, watch people, see which way they turn.
Television.
Television.
That works.
Yeah,
Most people sit in front of the TV.
a lot of people sit in front of the TV.
I do the
So,
same thing.
a lot of us, that's the only thing we can
Turn to the
do.
left.
Right or left.
Right.
And what you like, how do you do? You just, you're watching, I was saying, on TV and they turn like right or left, and what do you say to yourself? Like, you just say,
When they turn
Which-
right,
which
you
was
stay
it?
left.
and what, it's just watching them not be in pain.
Yeah.
Is that, you're just like, you're watching them be happy and,
Yeah, so what you're doing is these nerve endings up here are being fired
okay.
in the brain. Okay, so we know from functional MRI, we stick a person in there and you say, look at this right foot. Is this a right or a left foot? Obviously, I don't give the answer away like I just did, but so you say, okay, is this a right or a left foot? We know from the functional MRI that it lights up the same part of the brain as actually moving the right or the left foot.
So just thinking about it.
So just thinking about it, okay? Now, be aware, sometimes that has actually triggered people's pain. Okay, just looking at the pictures can trigger some pain, all right? And that's because, again, you don't gotta hear the whole song in order to get it in your brain. Just a little part of it can trigger it, okay? And so when you wake up in the morning, normally you don't wake up with a whole lot of pain, and all of a sudden one morning you wake up, you're in a ton of pain. What happened? What did I do? I don't know, maybe you dreamed that you're doing backflips. I don't know. Could have been. Brain doesn't really know the difference between reality and memory or future events. So it doesn't really know the difference, other than the fact that you're getting
I'm gonna have mine in mine. No, in mine, I'm the bottom one.
It reminds me a lot of sympathy pain. Like if
Yes.
you're caring for
Yeah.
somebody who has a stomach ache, your own stomach is going to hurt a little bit.
yes.
Or they say if you're with somebody who's in labor, you're also going to be having those sympathy pains.
Yes.
Sounds a lot like that.
It is very much like that. It is very much like that, and it's very much the same thing that happens with people who have had an amputation and they have the phantom pain. It's the same thing. This whole thing is happening in the brain. Now, don't let it be said that it's that you're making it up. I know we've all had doctors say that it's all in your head. Okay, this is different. This is very, very different. This is that there's so much happening in the brain to maintain the body that happens underneath your conscious control. Okay, that this is a body process. This is not something that, because if we were making it up, we could make it go away just that easily, right? And that's not how it works. Okay, so that's one way. All right, and like I said, another way to go, to a doctor, get those medications. Movement helps a lot, believe it or not. That's another way that we can do it. If you can start to do gentle motion, pain-free or not as extreme pain in the motion. So if you have a back issue, if you can just very gently rock back and forth, pain-free, okay, that can help teach your brain that there's something else happening here that's not dangerous, that actually feels kind of good, okay? That also helps with increasing blood flow to the area, which can speed healing and improve inflammation, which hurts, okay? So a lot of those things. Learning about what's going on, because a lot of what drives at least the suffering that goes with the pain is not knowing, is this actually dangerous or not?
Right.
Okay? So if you twist your ankle and it hurts like I don't know if everybody has been through this, but this happens to me on a fairly regular basis. I roll my feet. I roll my ankles. And that hurts so stinking bad. And probably 4 or 5 steps later, I'm like, you know what, that's okay. But it's that initial, what did I do? Is this bad? How bad is this going to be? That causes, I think, that part of that ramp up in pain. And then when you kind of walk it off, you realize, oh, you know what, it's not bad. Yeah, I rolled it. Yeah, it's gonna sting for a little while, but it's really okay. I can get through my day. I don't have to go to the ER and spend hours there and whatever else, you know, that happens when you can't walk.
So you kind of have to like trick your brain into kind of just tell it it's okay. I used to not worry, but now it's like the older you get, you know that now you can actually hurt stuff, and then you're stuck for months.
Yeah. Well, and
So I kind of panic whenever I do anything like that.
and there is an issue where most of us have been in pain for a really long time. We're deconditioned. Our tissues really aren't that strong.
Right.
So it is easier to hurt ourselves, okay? And so no, you ignore pain at your own peril, okay? Pain is important. It is there to protect you. It is there to let you know that something needs to be done about something, okay? Whether it's your back or your neck or whatever. And what needs to be done is a little different for everybody, okay? So for some people, you know, doing a certain set of exercises can really, really help relieve the pain. For some people, it's, gosh, you know what, it's time for the medication. Or some people, it's, you know what, I need to get up from my workstation and take a walk. Okay, so, and you know, I'm talking about fairly medium levels of pain. Obviously, if you are flat on your back, 9 or 10, 12, too serious for numbers pain, that's different. Your body is pulling an all stop and saying, you will pay attention to me right now before you do anything else, period. Okay, pain's real important. So my goal is, you know, when I have people come in here, is teach them to listen to the whispers so that it doesn't have to scream at you, because your body's talking to you, right? So that's my goal, is to try
So
to
kind of be careful. Just
yeah, you're gonna
take
be,
care of the little stuff, and then you won't have big stuff.
hopefully. It's not a guarantee, obviously. I mean, our bodies are different every day, but that's one way. Okay, but the understanding what your condition is and what the limitations of your body are really, really important. Because you know there's a difference between, okay, I know I overdid it. I'm not injured, but I am sore. Okay, so there's a difference between that and being, I really overdid it and I probably injured myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's, you know, being aware and paying attention to that and understanding that and learning more about those limits are going to be really important, okay? Because that's going to help take down the anxiety, at least that comes with some of that pain.
What you were saying about the whiplash or the running out of the house with a sore ankle, is that what we know is shock?
Yeah, I mean, that's partly shock. It's partly the fact that your brain actually will release chemicals into your spinal cord that say, I don't want to hear any information from this area right now. Okay, I'm going to fix
I've
it so those nerves won't fire and won't give the information on up to the brain. Okay. Interesting note, those chemicals tend to be the same ones that are associated with happiness. Like, so the serotonin, the dopamine, all of those happy chemicals that we associate with, okay. So, how does that, huh?
Can we grow that in our garden?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? What happens if you're constantly dealing with pain and your brain is constantly sending the serotonin, that dopamine, down into your spinal cord, saying, kind of try to damp down this signal that's happening? What happens when all of that goes to your spinal cord instead of being? Yeah, you do. Depression, right? Or if you're already dealing with some depression and you got some chronic pain on top of it, you don't have near as much to send down the spinal cord to dampen the pain.
Right.
Okay, so then you get, you know, because you've been in pain for a while, you get depressed because you can't do what you got to do. Okay, you're only one person. You only have so many of those resources. to deal with both the pain and your emotional state. Okay, this is why antidepressants seem to help with pain. Okay, it's not because, and this is what, it was kind of a mistaken thing that happened in the 80s. People on antidepressants started noticing, hey, you know what, I'm not in pain anymore. Well, it must be in your head. Must be something you made up just because you're depressed. And so we started getting this really bad rap for using antidepressants to deal with pain. In reality, all it is that these systems in your body, they all use the same chemicals, and you're only one person, and so you run low. So again, that's some of the information. Now, okay, that makes more sense in terms of why my doctor was saying, well, maybe we should try some Zoloft, or we should try something else in order to deal with this. A lot of people, no, I'm not gonna take that. Well, now that you know why it works, you don't have to take it. It's still your choice, but at least you know it's not because you're crazy.
When did they figure that out? I never heard that sort of that.
It's been probably in the last, since about year 2000, I think.
Okay,
Maybe in the
start
late
figuring out
90s.
that-
Yeah. We've learned so much about how pain works. And we really, honestly, I mean, every month there's one, just one group, the International Association for the Study of Pain. It's just one group. Now, of course, there are lots of other groups that deal with the study of pain. But monthly, a journal like this thick, with studies on different aspects of pain. Everything from looking at the sensors in the periphery to the psychological aspects of not being able to sleep on your partner and how your partner handles your pain because you can't sleep, and how they don't sleep, and then how that all interacts with, so these studies, they're constantly coming out with more and more and more studies. We've learned so much in the last 15 or so years about how it works and how complicated it is and how much we don't know about how it works.
They have a lot to do.
Yeah. I mean, basically right now is we're just learning the questions to ask.
What?
Water creates the happy drug. Serotonin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's why water is.
This is one of the reasons.
So it's
One of the
tougher to
reasons.
make you happy too.
I was.
Hydration. This is from a previous
So
Coke
that's
meeting.
why. Okay.
They've done studies about being dehydrated. Turns out when you're dehydrated, you run low on serotonin, which is one of your happy drugs, which is also one of our happy chemicals in your brain. It's also one of the ones that helps to damp the pain sensation in your body. So being hydrated can really, really help with the levels of serotonin in your brain. So drink water.
And then you said just even a fake smile.
Even a fake smile sends a signal to your brain, oh, we're happy. We need to produce more serotonin. And that can help. So
Teacher's assistant.
yes, very much so. Does anybody have any questions? This is a lot of information. It's really pretty complicated. I do have a list of things that you can do if everything's like, it's a list of ideas of ways to approach the whole thing in a more holistic way about your pain, knowing what we know more about pain science. I have a list of that. I didn't make copies of it, but if you guys hang out a little while, I can make that copy for you. And if you guys have anything that you want me to talk about in a future meeting, let me know. Based on anything any of the handouts that we have.
Is there anything besides water? Is there any foods that they know? The whole Jack Daniels undercover.
Man, I don't know.
This could be a theme now, a running
right,
theme.
a running theme. Just get drunk, it'll be fine. No.
We'll be passing it on
Please
next
don't.
month.
Please don't. Right.
I know.
I guess potatoes are supposed to as well. I know that turkey produces tryptophan, which is a really important amino acid in the formation of serotonin. But yeah, I mean,
Turkey makes
Look
That's
it
why
up.
they call them comfort foods.
Probably, yeah,
That
call them
makes
comfort
sense.
foods for that
Yeah,
reason.
potatoes.
Any of the, chocolate, it helps to release the dopamine. There's a reason why sugar, and this happens a lot with us, we get to the point where we reach for sugar. Sugar lights up the same areas of the brain as heroin does, and cocaine. So, if that's your only pleasure in your day is, that
Dessert.
hostess cupcake or dessert or whatever it is, yeah, and you can't move very much, people wonder why we gain weight when we're in pain. Okay, that's part of it.